Meanwhile, standing near the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home. The crucifixion has always been a powerful story. It's the foundation of our beliefs as Christians. Jesus died for us. He died so that we may live. This story has taken on a different meaning for me as a parent, and especially as a mother. Not only am I grateful for Jesus' suffering on the cross, I think of the suffering that Mary endured, watching her baby hang on the cross for 3 hours. I have 2 babies. Well, they're not babies anymore, they're teenagers. 18 and almost 15, Jabari and Jelani. Their names in Swahili mean brave and strong. And when Jabari, my fearless and brave one, was 5 years old, he was in an accident at the aftercare program at his school. I was pulling into the parking lot to pick him up and I got the call around 10 minutes to 6. Jelani, who was 2 at the time, had requested the night before that we go to Applebee's for dinner. So I was picking Jabari up a little bit later than usual. I had actually taken a later bus from Manhattan home to New Jersey. I didn't have to rush home because Applebee's was doing all the cooking. Some type of big, heavy ball, I don't know, a basketball, a soccer ball, a football, something, hit my baby in the mouth, and his teeth cut the inside of his lower lip. And the beige shirt that he was wearing that day was drenched in blood. Now, for those of you that don't know, there are a lot of blood vessels in the mouth, and that's to help supply blood to the spine and to the brain. So he was bleeding a lot. When I first saw him, I had a moment of fear. In addition to the blood, the school had given him an ice pack, and there was tons of gauze on his mouth to catch all the blood. And the gauze was soaked through. But then something in me clicked. It was as like I was on autopilot. I calmly and methodically picked him up, packed him up, got him out to the car, and then told my mom and 2-year-old who were in the car waiting that we were going to the emergency room instead of going to dinner at Applebee's. I called my husband, who was still working, and the pediatrician to let them know what was going on. And we sat in the emergency room for hours. While we were there, my mom was with us, and she was invaluable. She distracted the 2-year-old. She read to him, she sang him songs, she walked around with him to keep him from being fully irrational, as we all know 2-year-olds can be, especially when they don't get dinner at Applebee's. Jabari and I finally got to the back to see a doctor, and the doctor told me that Jabari needed 4 stitches in his mouth. God was definitely with us, because the same child that hates needles, the same child that we almost had to tie down every time he got vaccinations, calmly laid on the table while they stuck 2 needles in his mouth to numb him. The doctors went away and they came back about 5 minutes later and started suturing his mouth. As we were leaving, they gave us pain medication, tons of gauze, and some reusable ice packs. And by the time we were done, my husband had gotten home from work, and we got them ready for bed. And of course, the 5-year-old saw an opportunity to crawl into bed with mommy and daddy, and yes, we let him come. But Jelani was not gonna let Jabari get anything that he didn't get, so he had to come too. Our bed was pretty tight that night, so at some point I got up and went downstairs to get some water, and I ended up in my car. As I sat in my car, knowing everyone was safe, I cried. Ugly tears, guilty tears, and asked myself, why was I such a bad mother? How could I have let this happen? and proceeded to go through the litany of what ifs. What if I had picked him up at his regular time? What if I hadn't taken a later bus? What if we weren't going to dinner at Applebee's? What if I didn't work at all? What if I was at home? What if Mamie Till never sent Emmett to Mississippi? What if Sabrina Fulton insisted that Trayvon not visit his dad? What if Samara Rice had kept Tamir from going to the park? What if Tamika Palmer insisted that Breonna Taylor not move out and get her own apartment? As I think about Mary, what were her what ifs? What if she hadn't listened to the angel? What if she had kept a closer eye on her son and kept him out of the temple? What if she had stopped him from going with the disciples? What if she insisted that he be a carpenter like Joseph, settle down, get married, and give her grandbabies? If those things had happened, if those what ifs had been our reality, we would not be saved. Jesus would not have been the Christ, the Messiah. Mary is no longer his mother. She is our mother. Mamie Till is our mother. Sabrina Fulton is our mother. Samara Rice is our mother. Tamika Palmer is our mother. Woman, behold thy son, behold thy mother.